I'm ready whenever you are.
So within our decision making, when we're thinking about what species we're selecting for crop trees, within the oaks, our number one priority is a white oak. That's just because it has the least amount of tannins in terms of its acorns, so that the deer love it. It's also one of the most long-lived of our oaks, so we really want to target an oak as a crop tree, because the purpose of the crop trees are they're going to remain within the stand for as long as possible. So we have white oak as our number one, and then after that, kind of the northern or the red oak groups. So we have northern red, chestnut oak, and then after that you kind of get into the tree scarlet oak, which is a little bit more prone to the butt rot. It's not as long-lived, so it's still an oak, so it's still a good choice. But if we have, say, a white oak next to a scarlet oak, we're going to pick the white oak. Or if we have a chestnut oak next to a scarlet oak, we're going to, favor the chestnut oaks. That's kind of our ranking system. And so right now we're standing in a crop tree release unit that was cut approximately 3 years ago. So that would be 2019, 18, somewhere around there. You can see this is our crop tree that was released. And so you can see the understory response here. We're getting a lot of this Japanese stilt grass in here because this was opened up quite a bit. The contractors here, we kind of say they overachieved a little bit. They really opened up this. They kind of went out probably more than the 5 feet to open up this crown. But in this situation, this white oak is doing great. It's definitely vigorous. Its crown is looking really healthy. But in terms of what else is coming back, you'll get a lot more ferns. You'll see over in the distance there's a lot of the hay-scented fern. You have some, I think this is a Christmas fern. We see over on that side of the stand there's more of a response from laurel, so we definitely have some laurel coming in. With epicormic branching, when you're opening up the crown more than a 4-sided release. Here, again, the contractors overachieved a little bit. They kind of went out past our general rule of 5 feet of crown touching. So you'll see up there, you're starting to see some epicormic sprouting along the bole of the tree. And the disadvantage, what we don't really want with that, is all of the resources that are going into those epicormic sprouts could have been going into, height growth and also crown growth at the top. Because the bigger the crown, the more, mass production. So that's something you kind of want to consider when you're thinking about how far out should I go when you're releasing your crop tree. So we're standing, you can kind of see all the flash. That's kind of what's left behind after crop tree release treatment. And initially it looks, kind of messy, but it's actually really great cover for a lot of wildlife species. Rabbits, squirrels, birds can really use that as cover. And then behind there, you're seeing a lot of this green briar that's growing as well from that light response. And that's another great, source for wildlife and birds, and there's berries there. And one thing that we do post-harvest is these stands are actually open for firewood gathering. So it's kind of achieving, multiple objectives there. Not only is it, what's left behind is good for wildlife, but, people can come and gather firewood when we're really close to the road, like we are in this stand. So we're standing here in the same stand that Caitlin was talking about earlier, which was harvested as a crop tree release about 3 years ago in 2018. And here beside me, we have a wonderful example of a successful crop tree release. This is another white oak, which is a great species to manage for, especially when you're thinking about wildlife as an objective. And as you can see, the crown of this tree is very spread out. It's really taking advantage of all the light and resources that have been allocated to this tree by releasing it. We do have a couple of epicormic sprouts coming out here on the side.